Good morning from the homesteading grandparents.
Good morning.
Today is Friday, March the 5th, and welcome to another Swing and Swat. Been a mighty busy week, hasn't it, Nan?
And how?
What all has happened this week?
Well, we had a 10-year-old birthday. We had one that was sick. She was home for 3 days, running fever. We had her COVID tested. Praise God, it was negative. And I got 2 calls from the daycare this week that some little 4-year-old boy was being bad. So I had to go talk to him. They wanted me to come up there and talk to him 2 days in a row. So we're batting 1,000 today. Let's see what happens.
1,000 on calls or 1,000 we haven't got a call?
1,000 we haven't got a call.
Before we get started with our topic this morning, we'd like to say thanks to each one of you who have taken time to watch our videos, and a special thank you to each one of you who has subscribed. That means a lot to us, and it gives us great encouragement to continue making the videos. Well, our topic this morning is going to be the power of I can and I can't. There is a saying that's been attributed to Henry Ford that goes something like this. It says, if you think you can do a thing, and if you think you can't do a thing, you're right. Now that can be applied to a lot of different scenarios in life. But today we want to focus on the power of I can and I can't as it relates to grandparenting. Now, grandparenting is not for the weak, and it's not for the faint of heart, as some of you already know. Since Nan and I decided to start this YouTube channel, we started doing some research. What we want to do is talk about some of those typical emotions. We want to look at some of the do's, some of the don'ts, and then what does a person who believes they can, what do they look like, or what are some of their attributes? And then what are the attributes of a person who says I can't? So let's start by looking at some of the emotions that grandparents go through on a daily basis. Nan and I have experienced some of these. Some of these we have not. But one of the things I think that we've experienced probably up front when we learned that this was going to be a long-term event for us was resentment.
Much resentment, unfortunately.
We resented that we had to put our retirement on hold, that we had to push that back. We had made plans to retire at a certain point in life, and so now that's been put on hold and pushed back. So there's some resentment around that. We see different ones of our friends that are grandparents, and they are out having what I would say a freedom to do as they wish, and we feel or have felt restricted and clamps put on us that we couldn't do certain things. So we have personally experienced that resentment even towards others. It's like they get to do things we don't. Resentment towards having, and let me back up, in our case, we have agencies in our life. They make frequent visits, at least monthly visits, and when there's multiple agencies, such as in our case, we have multiple visits in our home from the agencies. So Nan and I have struggled with resentment towards that. In fact, it's like at times, it's almost like we are the offender.
Mm-hmm. Unfortunately.
We're being scrutinized, we're being put under the microscope, and here we are totally innocent, or we feel we're innocent. So there's resentment towards that. But I do want to clarify, because I've had to work my way through that and think that process through. And the only reason that agencies exist in the first place is that parents have failed to do the job that God called us to do as parents. So someone had to step in and take over. So if there's anyone to blame for the agencies, it's parents.
Absolutely.
And the agencies are only doing what they have been asked to do. The employees of the agencies are only doing what they've been asked to do. I think one thing that Nan and I can take comfort in and we can actually be proud of is that one of our caseworkers told us that we were one of the very few homes that she enjoyed coming to because we were always friendly, we were always open, and we didn't give her a hard time. She said most of the homes that she go to, she said, you have no clue what we go through. So I take a lot of comfort and even pride in the fact that we have been Christ-like. And even though we don't like it, we've had resentment, but we have been able to push that aside with God's help and at least not take it out on the caseworkers. Do you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. And they're very nice. They're very nice. They're very cordial. And I think they understand. They see a lot of what we go through. You know, they're just doing their job. They're getting paid to do a job. And they do feel sorry for us, grandparents, that it's all new to us. So, yeah.
One of the other emotions is coping with caring for a child at our age, or in our case, 4 children.
4 children. And we had 6 to begin with.
Not just 1, but 4. And of those 6, the ages ranged from, at that time,
16,
3 to
2. He was 2.
2 to 16.
Yeah.
You know, so coping with, after we've not had children in our home for many years, and then over the course of 6 months to a year, you have 6 kids in a home, and now we're down to 4. So coping with caring for children at our age. Now, one thing that we do have a leg up on is that we have experience doing this, and we'll talk about that here in a minute when we talk about the do's. But one thing that has helped us is we've been down this road before, parenting all the way through young adults and even into adults. So, you know, we have that experience that we can fall back on. One of the other things that grandparents go through, and Nan and I have experienced this one, and that is anger towards the parents. You know, it's like, why can't you just do your job? Why do we have to pick up your slack where it's not even our decision, it's your decision, and we're being forced to do something that we were not planning on doing, and we were, at the time, we're not prepared to do. So we have been working our way through this whole time, working our way through managing anger towards the parents and not understanding why they can't fulfill the role that they chose to have. So that's another emotion that you go through. Overwhelmed at the responsibility. Again, responsibility associated with multiple children in the home. At times it's just like, this is, yeah, just want to pull your hair out. So I think some of those times that, you know, I've watched Nan on occasion getting them ready for school, and when I'm home, I'll try to help her out. But getting them ready for school in the morning, it's I mean, it's like a zoo. Then when they come in the evening, it's like a zoo. And we've talked about the in the evening time around here, the activities that go on with eating, then baths, homework, and that sort of thing. So at times it seems overwhelming with the responsibility that's associated with raising your grands. Sad and depressed. So some days you're sad, some days you're really depressed, but overall, you know, when we get through this, you'll see that you rely on your faith, but you know that you're doing the right thing, and there is joy in it too. And you know, there really for us there is a lot of joy when we see, you know, when we see the kids performing, you know, and having them with their antics and stuff. So, but you go through those emotions, and the other one is exhaustion. Man, I tell you what, getting up early in the morning, I'm usually up by, what depends on, I still work a full-time job, and I'm usually up by 4 o'clock on work days. And when I get in the evenings, you know, by 6 or 7 o'clock, I'm exhausted. And then, you know, you tack on the responsibility of 4 kids for Nan and I, and a lot of times you're up early too. You're up at 5. So at the end of the day, you know, we're exhausted. We don't have quite the energy that we used to have when we were 25 and 30 raising our kids. But, you know, God is good. He provides the strength. He provides the energy, and certainly He's granted us wisdom. So, you know, can't complain. And then there's the feeling of isolation from friends and family. And honestly, for the first 2 years, you and I didn't do anything.
No, we isolated ourselves.
We did.
We did that.
Yeah, and we've come to learn that that's not what you want to do. But we did, because there's requirements through the agencies that if you have babysitters, you have to have them approved. You've got to go through these different, you got to follow these different steps and these guidelines in order to even have babysitters come in the home, even to have friends of ours come over and visit. It's like, well, we need to run a background check on them. So instead of going through that, Nan and I just chose to just isolate. We stayed at home and we didn't go out. And of course, COVID happened too during 20, you know, so we certainly didn't get out any more than we had to then. But as a rule, I think we pretty much stayed at home. Mm-hmm. Now, I think over the last, 2 months, 3 months, mm-hmm. we've started, you know, getting out a little bit more and getting a babysitter, approved babysitter to watch the kids, and we'll go to lunch, if they're at school like today, you know, we could go eat lunch, or in the evening. And we've even ventured out and took them out. Let's see, a month ago, yeah. We took the 3 little ones out. Bridget, who just had her birthday this week, as she said, well, she had gone to spend the night with her aunt. And so we took the 3 little ones and we went out, and they did very, very well. So that was encouragement to us. It's like, okay, so we
can do this.
We can do this.
We can do this again.
At 60 years old, we can do this.
Yeah.
I can. We determined we could.
That's right.
Some people are embarrassed about family situation, and I think, you know, that's one thing I don't really feel like I've struggled with so much, mm-hmm. because, you know, we recognize that our children are adults, and they make big boy and big girl decisions, and we feel like we did the best we could when we were raising them, and, you know, they're making adult decisions, and I don't let it be a reflection on me, because that's not who I am. That's not what I do. You know, I try to do the right things, and feel like that we tried to raise them that way. And if they've made decisions that have impacted their life negatively in that sense, well, that's them. It's not a reflection on me. Mm-hmm. Problems concentrating and organizing. I woke up this morning at 3 o'clock, things on my mind, work related, home related, YouTube related, and, you know, it just seems like that your mind is always running, and you have to shut it down. You've got to figure out a way, which I'm trying to do that and working on it, but you've got to figure out a way to shut your brain down so that you get rest. But that's one thing, is trying to concentrate and organize as you perform your daily activities. Extreme stress. You know, there's opportunity for extreme stress. And one thing another emotion that Nan and I have not had to experience, which I know some of you and some of your friends have, and that is grief. You know, how that you have acquired, or how you have come about with raising your grandchildren. then, maybe there was a tragic situation involved and there's grief. And thankfully, we're not facing that in our adventure. So those are some of the emotions that we go through, or grandparents that are raising their grandchildren. And again, we've just started doing this research, and we're starting to see some similarities and patterns with our life, and then others, again, we really haven't been down that road. But those are some of the emotions. Mm-hmm. Is there any others that you can think of that?
No, that pretty much hit on all of it. I know in the very beginning, I would have breakdowns because before they started school, got them in school, you had a process of things you had to go through for CPS, so we couldn't get them in school immediately. And then I had the two younger ones here every day for probably the first 3 months. Mm-hmm. And these kids were, as sweet as they were undisciplined. They had no discipline. They had no, they didn't know how to act in a house other than little.
Well, they just did their own thing. And,
yeah.
And again, we also had to temper that with the knowledge, share the knowledge that we haven't had kids, especially small kids, in our home for years.
Right.
So, that their behavior was only magnified for us, whereas a parent would have just looked at that, and their parents looked at it and said, that's fine with them. They can run around, scream and holler, and that's fine. Well, for us, it was like, my ears can't take that. My nerves can't take that. So it was just magnified for us.
Well, and not just that, but the unkeptness. They didn't know how to. They just would ransack. They would tear stuff up.
Yeah, they had not been taught a lot of responsibility.
No.
Yeah.
And
again, a lot of children. I have to think back. My mother has said, that if I got a new toy, the first thing I was going to try to do was dismantle it, figure out how it worked. So again, we've had to temper or process their behavior through our past learnings and our growing up. So
right.
While we have felt these emotions that she just talked about, we've also had to back up and kind of temper. Okay, well, maybe we're being a little bit overbearing there and thinking through that. But the fact remains the same, that they're different children today than when they were when they got here.
Oh gosh, they are completely different children today.
Some of that is age, and then some of that is the stable structure and environment that they've been provided here. So, okay, so enough on the emotions. We'd love for you to comment, and what are some of the emotions that you have been through? Perhaps, we're targeting grandparents raising grandchildren, but perhaps you are an adult that's providing care for a senior citizen, or someone else that's a disabled individual or something, where you've had some of these same stresses and some of these same emotions. But we'd love for you to comment and share your thoughts and some of the emotions that you've been through or that you deal with, and then certainly how have you worked with that? How have you, I hesitate to say overcome it, but really that's our goal, is how do we get better with it? How do we better manage it? How do we better deal with it? So please share your ideas and your thoughts, because we need them. I've learned a lot as we've started doing some research, and I know that there are those of you out there that can help us as a community as well. So let's look at some of the do's for I can, I can't. Okay? So the first thing is, do the best you can. Just do the best you can. And that's all that anyone can ask of us, is to do our best. And really, that's easy to do. We just do what we know to do and do it to the best of our ability. So do the best you can. acknowledge your feelings, whether they're positive or whether they're negative. One thing that we learned as we were working with and going through the recovery program that we worked with, which was Celebrate Recovery, this has been a few years back, the first thing that we do in recovery is to admit to ourselves that, you know, we have an issue, we have a problem, or that we can't manage our life, it's totally out of control. So acknowledging feelings, acknowledging how you feel is the starting point to being able to manage your feelings. If you don't know if you're not willing to admit that you're struggling with something, you'll certainly never move forward in the process of recovering from that event or managing and dealing with your feelings. So acknowledge your feelings, whether they be positive or negative. And one of the big things that Nan and I have had to work with is learn how to be flexible. You know, Nan she is the ultimate housekeeper. And, you know, it's been said by others along through my life that, man, that individual is so clean that you could eat off of their floor. That's Nan.
Not anymore.
She is a super housekeeper. And so we had to learn, and she had to learn, to be flexible. And even in the midst of this, when we were in the COVID event, we had some folk bringing us food from the church and stuff, and one of the ladies commented, said, "My God, that woman's house is immaculate, and she has 4 kids running around there." Well, it's not what it used to be. Would you agree?
100,000%.
Okay. Not what it used to
it's
be,
not that
but
bad,
she still does a fantastic job. And part of that goes back to what we talked about in one of our other videos, and that was prioritizing our time and organizing our activities. Learn to be flexible. And then, I mentioned it earlier, we have experience at this. You know, draw on your experience. How did you deal with behaviors from your children that you were raising? You know, this isn't our first rodeo. This isn't our first trip down this road. We've seen behaviors. We know fibs.
Yeah. I didn't take that.
We're not easily deceived. So use that to your benefit, to your advantage. Use it as leverage. Okay? And then certainly maintain a healthy you. Okay? Maintain a healthy you. Now, Nan and I have a different approach to that. Years ago, she still does. I used to work out. We used to go to the gym. We used to go to boot camps, yada, yada. And I worked out. I ran. Man, I mean.
He did good, too.
A lot of work went into that. Well, these days, I get my working in the yard, working in the garden, just outside activities. No, it's not to the level that I used to work out at the gym. But still, I get some physical activity. Nan, she still works out. She'll get up 3 days a week and gets up early. She does her devotions, and then she works out. So she maintains a healthy you, and she maintains a healthy spiritual you as well by doing the devotions. Seek out support groups. Do seek out support groups, okay? So like I told you, we isolated, but we're learning through research and support groups that we can't do that. You know, we've got to have support from others. We've got to have input from others and encouragement from others. So search out support groups, and hopefully the Homesteading Grandparents YouTube channel is a source of encouragement, and we want to serve as a support group. Recognize that the grands have mixed feelings too. You know, I've learned a little bit through the research on that when they first get here, they, you know, into the home, they may be, you know, very well behaved, but then as they learn and get comfortable with the environment, then they may start acting out a little bit more. And you know what? They're processing feelings too.
Yeah.
And it's very, very safe to say that if they had their ruthers, they would rather be with their parents. They would rather be as a family with their mother and their biological mother and their biological father. But the situation is, for many of us, that's not possible, and they are with their grandparents, so we have to make the best of it. So we have to recognize that they struggle. We have to recognize their feelings. And when I say recognize, I really mean that. We have to be observant. And when things are not, they seem a little off, we need to start asking. Okay, so how are you feeling? What's going on? Why you have a long face today? And you can eventually get it out of them. And at times there's tears, at times there's frustration. But that's the support that we can provide them. And of course, we can also use counselors and get them counseling. They definitely, as a rule, they definitely need counseling, and it definitely helps. Focus on creating a stable environment. Now, for Nan and I, that's not too terribly hard because we're pretty organized and regimented, so we maintain a stable environment. But if you struggle with that, remember, they're probably coming out of a home where they didn't have that stability. And, there was a lot of chaos, possibly. And I think that's probably a general rule, is there's a lot of chaos and a lot of things going on. So their little world stays upset. And if you can provide them stable environments such as meal times, bedtimes, rules. They're make your beds up and those sort of things as they get older. Pick up your toys. I mean, that's all about structure. It's all about stability, and that's what we want to provide them, and that's what they want. They do want stability in their life. Encourage open and honest communication. Again, when we see them, they look a little down, look a little discouraged. I've heard Nan, ask the girls, "Hey, what, you not feeling good? What's going on?" And eventually she can draw it out of them and get to the bottom of it. Like with Noah, she mentioned earlier that, that he has acting out at school. Okay, so, what's going on? We've had those conversations with him, even though he's 5, and you start getting little tidbits of information. 4. Yeah, you start getting a little bit of tidbits of information, but it lets you know what he's thinking about and what his mind's on. Support communication between the parent and the child. That's important. Those children want communication with their parents. Now, the way I look at it, and I'm going to say this right, wrong, or indifferent, but the way that I look at it, it's not for the benefit of the parent. I don't look at it that way. It's for the benefit of the child. The child needs to have that communication with their parent. As long as, you always got to throw out qualifiers. You got to always throw out disclaimers. As long as it's a safe relationship. If it's not a safe relationship, if it's not a safe environment, or where the children should not be talking to the parent, then obviously you make that decision. But as long as it's safe, then encourage that communication, between the parent and the child. And do anchor yourself in your faith. I mean, please. That has been our source of main strength, is our faith. And knowing, I think I mentioned it in one of our previous videos, that we know that God has called us to do this. We know that. And, again, the good book talks about that if we lose our life on this side, that we gain it on the other side. And if we lay down our selfish desires and pick up the cross and carry the cross, then we're laying up treasures for the other side. And we all know how that Jesus Christ felt about children. And so when your conviction, or when you are convinced that what you are doing is the right thing, then at times living day to day is a little easier. Is the challenge still there? Absolutely. But you also know mentally, this is it. I had no choice. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So you just put one foot in front of the other. You take another step, and basically you just drowned out all the noise around you.
You don't have any other choice.
Right. Because you've made that decision, right? You've said, I'm making this decision, and no one else is making it for me. I'm making it. Therefore, I have no choice. Now if you're on the other side where you're saying I can't, and there are legitimate reasons why some grandparents can't take care of their grandchildren. Health, finances. There's lots of reasons why that's not possible, but where it is possible, and we make that decision to say I can't, then okay, you made the decision, and no, you're not going to. So you're going to waver back and forth of like, I could get out of this if I wanted to. Do I want to? But when your mind is made up, then you understand we are going to go through this, and we're going to get through this. Okay, so anchor yourself in your faith. And then remember for sure that Philippians 4, 6, and 7 out of the good book, that I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Period.
That's right.
He didn't throw in, well, except for, or this. No.
I can.
I can.
Therefore, we will.
That's right. All right, those are the do's. Okay? So let's look now at some of the don'ts. And again, this is from our research. Some of these things, we have probably found ourselves there. And one of them, the self-isolate, for sure, we found ourselves there. But don't take your anger out on the kids. Okay? Again, remember some of those emotions are we get angry, we get frustrated, we get tired, we get exhausted. It's not the kids' fault. They're here because they have to be. And, hopefully over time, they adapt and they learn to adjust, and they are. But again, bottom line is, if the perfect world, their little world, they would be with their parents and everything would be just plumb rosy. So don't take it out on the kids. Don't self-isolate. Again, when we do that, you get kind of like Nan and I, where you realize, or you're there in your own little world, and it's like, there's no way out of this. This is the next 17, 18 years, and man, this is going to be rough. No, get out, take some time for yourself, go through whatever process you have to, if you have an agency involved, and if you're blessed where you don't have agencies involved, then you have a whole lot more liberties to get that help. Use your church, use your friends, use your family if it's available, but find support to help you with watching the kids, so you can get out and go to the grocery store. You can get out and do a few things and just get a little bit of time to yourself. Okay, another thing is, don't let the situation cause long-term friction between you and your spouse. There's a lot of opportunity for friction to get in the way. Again, maybe you're exhausted, maybe you're frustrated, and the spouse is not disciplining the way that you think they should, putting them in time out, and they're just letting things go. Well, there's a lot of opportunity for there to be friction, but make sure, I think the old saying goes, don't go to bed mad. Make sure you work through any disagreements that you have before you close your eyes. Don't turn to self-medication or substance abuse. Turn to your faith. Don't lose hope. Turn to your faith. That's the next thing, is don't lose hope. Believe in your faith. Believe in Jesus Christ. Don't beat yourself up. We get to thinking, okay, where did I go wrong, with the parents? But don't beat yourself up for the situation that we're in. Don't criticize the parent in front of the child. The parent or the child, these children are very, very sharp. and they see and they know, and they love their parents. And yes, they see, or they have questions. Well, why is dad over here, or why is mom in that situation? They have questions, but they still love their parents. So don't criticize the parents in front of the child. Don't lie or twist facts. We had one of the kids ask the other day a very pointed question about one of their parents, and you could go right to it and and just state exactly like it is, but that in this case that would have done more damage. So we didn't lie, we didn't twist facts, we changed the subject. Didn't answer it, moved on, and just changed the subject. So there's times you have to do that. But don't lie or twist facts to cover for the parent or to make the parents look bad, either way. Because the children will understand, and they will find out eventually. And when they find out they can't trust you, then that creates other problems. So don't lie to them. Tell them what we can. That's what Nan and I try to do, is we tell them what we can, we tell them what we know. And of course the older one, Bridget, would tell her a little bit more because she processes things a little different than the other three. But share what you can, but don't lie to them or twist facts. And don't put the child in the middle. Don't play the child against the parent, and don't put the children in that position. They're already experiencing enough stress and anxiety as it is. Again, don't lose hope or give up on your faith, and don't lose sight of the bigger picture. What we're doing is for one reason, and that's for the kids. Don't lose sight of that. And trust me, we've had to come back and back up and say, whoa, wait a minute, what's the bigger picture? It's their best interest at heart.
Agree. We've had to do that a lot in the past 2 years.
Yeah, it's for their benefit, and it's all about them. So let's look at, we've talked about some of the emotions, we've talked about some do's, we've talked about some don'ts, and again, we're not experts. We're researching, we're finding this stuff that applies to us. We see how it can apply to perhaps you, and we're just simply sharing the information that we've researched. I'll put a couple of links that I've done the research on, and I'll put them in the description box here in this video. And there's some good help out there for us. We can just reach out to it. So let's look at some of the attributes of the person that says I can, okay? Because that's who we want to be, right? I can. There's only one time, and I'll talk about it when we get to the I can't, but there's only one time that I can think of that I want to say I can't, okay? But let's talk about I can right now. We forgive others. That's the I can person. We're ready and willing to forgive others. And again, as we talk through that process that Nan spoke about on forgiveness with the COVID, it's a process. We have to work our way through it, but ultimately we arrive at forgiveness. Okay? We accept responsibility for our actions. I can. So we're going to admit our wrong. We're going to accept responsibility. We're grateful for what we have. Grateful for what we have. Thankful that life has given us some challenges. We've with God's help, worked through them, and we're grateful for what we have. We embrace change. Buddy, that is not me. I'm a person that likes this color shirt. You've seen this in every video. I don't change. I wear this at home when I'm working. I wear this to work when I work. And if she'd let me, I'd wear it to church when we went. Okay, which has been a while, but she won't let me wear it to church. But I'm not a person, I'm a creature of habit. Embrace change, you better, because your life's going to change.
Gotta do it.
You better embrace it or it'll run you over.
Yeah.
Be joyful. And we do. We try to be joyful. We like to try to have fun around here. And we have fun with the kids. I joke with them. I pick on them constantly. I'm picking on them. And it's all about having some fun and and trying to lighten things up, and let's have some fun around here. So be joyful. Set goals. Driven people, successful people, I can people have goals. Set goals for yourself. It may just be getting up out of bed and making a bed. You've set a goal. It may just be getting out of bed. You've set a goal. Do something. My brother worked with this individual one time, and one of his sayings, he was telling me about this individual, and he was like, man, I just want to scream, just do something. I don't care what it is, just do something. Well, set your goal, just do something.
One thing a week. Set one goal a week.
That's a starting point.
One goal a week.
I try to set me 1 or 2 goals a day, but one goal a week is a starting point.
They got to start somewhere.
I agree. Okay, so how do you set a goal? Well, you can set a goal and then create you a to-do list, right? Okay, do one thing. And that's during the summertime, things get really, really busy around here with the gardening and everything. And so, I have to try to set one goal or one on my to-do list. I try to do one thing every evening when I come in from work. And I arrive at that thing by using that Eisenhower box and say, okay, so what's priority, what's urgent, what's important, what's not important, right? And I arrive at one thing that I'm going to get done when I get home in the evening. A to-do list. Read daily. Read something. Hopefully you can read some of these resources that we're going to put on here. But read something that's encouraging. Read something that's motivating, not discouraging, not depressing, keeps you down,
Don't watch the news.
Yeah, well, that's on our unsuccessful side. But read daily. Compliment people. Man, you talk about making yourself feel better. Start complimenting people. Find something that you can compliment them about. And it will make them feel better, and I promise you it will make you feel better.
It does.
And that's one of the attributes of an I can person. Okay, and then talk ideas. Don't be scared to throw out what you're thinking. Don't be scared to put it out there as an idea. Hey, what do you think about this? Because there's one thing that you'll see on the unsuccessful side or the I can't person is, that you know it all. You have all the answers. No, we don't. We don't have all the answers. So it's good to throw out our ideas, bounce our ideas off of other people. Okay, so an I can't person or an unsuccessful person hold grudges. Holding grudges drag us down. That's very, very exhausting to hold a grudge. It wears you out. Let it go. Frozen. Let it go. Let it go.
In here, it does something wrong to you. You have to get it all out. Get all the ugly out. That was very hard for me. I have to tell y'all that. That was hard. But I want to go to the other side.
Mm-hmm.
So. Okay,
don't hold grudges. Blame others. On the flip side of that, we said accept responsibility. Well, don't blame others. We make conscious decisions, and like Pops told me growing up, we get to make the choice, we get to choose, but we don't get to pick the consequences. Okay, so if you find yourself in working through a consequence that is negative, don't blame others, don't blame the system, don't blame this or that. Accept responsibility for what got you there. Don't blame others. Okay, instead of again. Versus grateful is feeling entitled. We're not owed anything in this life. We're not owed our next breath. God Himself determines how many breaths we have. We're not owed anything in this life. We're not owed respect. We earn that. We're just not owed anything. Okay, so unsuccessful people feel entitled. Fear change. you've got to adventure out. You've got to take a chance occasionally. Paul Phil, you have to take a chance. So don't fear change. Angry, don't be angry all the time. Angry again, that's very draining. It's very exhausting. Very nerve-wracking. So don't be angry all the time. What's the good book say? Be angry and sin not. Okay, so you let it go. You may get angry, but make it short-lived. Let it go. Having no goals. That's the I can't person. I can't do anything. I can't this, I can't that. Have no goals. Fly by the seat of your pants instead of having you a list that helps you organize. It's just willy-nilly, whatever. Okay, I'm going to do this at that time. Or, one of these days I'm going to do this. There are people in this life that they're gonna beers, right? I'm going to. I'm gonna do. I'm going to. And they live their whole life, I'm going to. But they never do. So don't be one of those people. Daily TV, being a couch potato, sitting on the couch watching TV. Again, get up, do something. Not that. Click. That's not the one I'm talking about. Get up, do something, venture outside, check out the sunshine, check out the rain, check out what the neighbors are doing. You may see old Paul Phil over here doing something, All right, don't criticize. Now, don't criticize me. Don't criticize Nan for what we're doing here. Don't criticize, right? We can always find, it's easy to criticize. It's easy to find what people are doing wrong. But let's be the people that compliment. Let's be the people that point out the good things that we see in people. And then, of course, not be a know-it-all. If you're a know-it-all, you'll never learn anything. One thing I've learned in my job as a training specialist in the oil and gas industry is those that know it all, they'll never learn anything. But if you have an open mind and you're willing to talk about ideas, you're willing to listen, then you'll learn some things. So that's our swing and swat today. And we may break this up into multiple videos here because it's rather lengthy. But that's our swing and swat. And we thank you very much for your time. And again, please comment. Please give us your thoughts on some of these things that we've talked about today. Have you experienced them? How have you dealt with them? What have you used? What tools have you used to help you be successful? What tools have you helped to deal with the negative? What are those things? Help us out. Help our viewers out. Let's help each other. And let's start bouncing some ideas off of each other and help each other, because that's one of the primary reasons for this channel being in existence, is for us to build a community to help each other. So God bless, and that's about all I have to say. What about you, Nan?
Hit that little button, thumbs up, if you like the video.
There you go. Well, that's it for today. We say thank you, thank you, thank you, like old Gomer Pyle. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your subscription. Thank you for hitting the like button. God bless. Y'all take care. And we'll see you on the flip side.
Bye.